Welcome back, everyone, to the Blue Castle podcast. I'm your host, Sarah.
I'm your other host, Molly.
And today, our focus is going to be Disney Cruise Line. So Molly and I have a trip, and our parents have a trip coming up in September where we're starting off with Disney World and ending it with Disney Cruise, which is apparently popular, but we've never done it before. We've never Disney cruised before. So Molly's going to teach us, things about Disney Cruise, and then I'm going to talk about some of the planning stuff we've had in the works for how long? Like several months now, and it's in September. So
honestly, it's probably close to a year ago that we planned this.
Yeah, when we first booked it, it's because they had just released the latest wave of cruises and different, routes and stuff. And we knew that was the cheapest way to book it. And so Molly was like, let's do it. And I was like, yes. So we did. And when we put it out of our minds, so we didn't torture ourselves. And now it's getting closer.
You say we put it out of our minds. I think you were more successful at putting it out of your mind than I was.
Yeah, Molly, I feel like it was like once a month. Molly was like, this many days until our cruise. And I'd be like, yep. And
Sarah was like, I'm going to the UK, so I don't even care about that.
Like an international trip. So no, I mean, technically this is international, but not quite as international as my recent trip, which we can mention briefly because we did one thing that was Disney related on. Yeah. You didn't know this? So
no.
I have mentioned before, but I went on a trip with my parents to London, and then we went to Edinburgh and went to the Taylor Swift concert, the Eras Tour, Edinburgh Night 2. It was amazing. But while we were in London, we actually went to Frozen the musical.
Oh, you did tell me about this.
The West End Broadway musical, Broadway style, which not on Broadway, obviously. And it was amazing and hilarious. It had some parts of it that I did not know were going to be there. So if you have kids, it wasn't inappropriate, technically. There's just a part of it where they're like in a sauna and they have plants covering themselves, but they have on leotard things. It's interesting. It's funny, but it's definitely not something that would have made the cut for the actual movie. Disney would have said no. So
that's kind of incredibly surprising that Disney would do anything that even hinted in that direction. But I guess if it's something the parents and adults would catch on to more than the kids.
Oh, the kids would know. It was very much. It was like literally every background. What are they called? The ensemble. Everyone in the ensemble was wearing, it was like all the way to their wrists and down to their ankles, but it was flesh colored leotard thing. And anyway, so they were meant to look like they were nude, but it was...
Oh, good heavens.
I know. I was like, what is happening? It was shocking. And there were so many cute, kids in the audience. Dad was just gaping at them. I was like, Dad, you have to, stop staring at all the children during the show. It wasn't...
Our dad just really likes kids, and sometimes his excessive friendliness can... scare the children.
Yeah, especially with the conservative Brits. But no, it was fine. It was just funny. He thought that was the best thing ever because there were a ton of little girls dressed as Anna and Elsa, mostly Elsa. And it was amazing. So highly recommend that. There's a thing called Magical Mondays where you can, I think it's at noon if you're in the UK time zone, but for here it was 6 a.m. or something. Is that the time difference? Yeah, that makes sense. So on Mondays at 6 a.m. Central Time, you can log on to this Magical Mondays. It's pretty easy to find if you just Google that. And I got the tickets for 29 euros each, and we were in the Royal Circle, which is the lowest balcony on the second row. So we had really good seats, and it was only 29 euros each, and normally I think those are at least 100. So great deal.
Massive sleigh.
It was a sleigh. It was super fun. And that was our first full day there. So we were having a grand time, kicking it off with a bang. Anyway, that was our only really Disney thing. The rest of the trip was not super relevant for this podcast, but super fun. Definitely a big fan of London now. And now I'm trying to convince Molly to go to London with me, and then we can take the Eurostar down to Paris and then go to Disneyland Paris because
twist my arm. Fine, I'm in.
Well, we flew on the way there. We non-revved, which we've talked about this, flying for free standby because I work for an airline, but that was chaotic for a variety of reasons, storms, blah blah blah. But it was awesome. On the way back, we had, my mom in particular had wanted to see if we could book our flights for the way back and just pay for them. So we had something that was a sure thing on the way home, which was genius in hindsight. And Norse Atlantic Airways is a kind of newer player on the scene of cross Atlantic, what's that called? Transatlantic flights. And they have some very affordable flights if you're semi-flexible on dates. So highly recommend looking into them, especially if you're looking at Disneyland Paris as an option. They do fly to Paris. They fly Orlando to London. I think Miami has several options in New York. So if you're willing to connect to some other cities that maybe not where you're living, it's great options.
Massive sleigh.
Yeah, it really was great. And 10 out of 10 would recommend Frozen the Musical and Magical Mondays and London and Norse. I think that's my recap.
Awesome.
Yes,
Thank you for sharing, Sarah.
You're welcome. That was my story time before we get into the meat of the episode, which is Disney Cruise Line.
This is going to be kind of somewhat cathartic for me because I had a major bout of FOMO when Sarah and my parents were planning their trip to the UK, and especially when they were actively in the UK and I was like going to work every day like normal. Major FOMO. Yeah, I know, it was sad. Depressing. So I am thrilled that Sarah is now on the same page as me at looking forward to the cruise. And that is our next big thing together versus her next big thing being something without me.
Yeah, I have kind of, because there's nothing actionable to happen right now with the cruise. I've kind of skipped on to our next trip that I'm trying to convince you of. And I think we'll do that in the next episode. But it's basically what I just talked about with London, Paris, Disneyland, Paris.
Oh my gosh. It's like pulling fingernails to get you on the same page as me. Be excited about the cruise.
I am, but like there's nothing to do right now. Like we can just be excited about it, and like you can only watch so many vlogs.
It's like 3 months away right now, and we're in a little bit of a weird in-between point where we've paid in full, so there's more things on the website and on the app that we can see as activity options and things like that, but we haven't reached the time window when we can start booking activities yet. So we're just like, I can just scroll through all the activity options, and it just has a little countdown that's teasing me in the corner of the app, telling me 19 days to go, 18 days to go till you can book this. But we're close. It's exciting to even see all the options on the app, because when you first book, if you book as far out as we did, you cannot see any details other than the date that you set sail, the date you disembark, and the countdown to your cruise. Like that's really all that's on the app until a certain period before it. But anyway, getting ahead of myself a little bit. Let's start off. Let's beep, beep, boop, boop, back up and start off at a Disney cruise overview and just kind of setting the scene for what this cruise is and what cruises with Disney are in general and what the options are. So Disney Cruise Line was founded in 1995. I believe they first set sail in 1996 or something like that. Disney Cruise Line has 5 ships, soon to be 6, when the Disney Treasure takes its maiden voyage super duper late in 2024. It's like the last week of 2024, so I would say there's a chance it would slip into 2025, but I think you can actually book that trip already. So yeah. I don't think they're gonna move that maiden voyage.
I think they have canceled a maiden voyage and rebooked people before, so It's not a guarantee even if they are selling it.
It does seem like a crunch goal. Like they were supposed to deliver in 2024, so they put it on the last week.
Yes, you put them on blast for that once before.
On blast. But
On
anyway,
blast.
the Disney Destiny is the ship to follow the treasure. I don't know. I'm guessing that's 2025 or 2026, but that's going to have a heroes and villains theme. So that's kind of exciting.
That one's very exciting. And also, Beyonce is a hero, and Destiny makes me think Destiny's Child. So
I think Mariah Carey is like the fairy godmother of one of the ships. Will you fact check that? I'm pretty sure she has something to do with it.
For real?
Look up Mariah Carey Disney Cruise Line. If not, I had a very elaborate dream about this.
That's hilarious. You're right. Disney Fantasy Christening with Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon.
And Nick Cannon. Wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah, that's
he's
awkward.
He's had multiple babies with everyone.
That makes me feel uncomfortable about the Disney Fantasy. Godmother Mariah Carey christens the Disney Fantasy. Anyway.
I was correct. Wow, who would have thought? But anyway, cruises go all around the world for Disney Cruise Line. They really focus a lot on the Caribbean. I never know whether to say Caribbean or Caribbean because I'll say Pirates of the Caribbean.
I think Caribbean in all cases other than Pirates of the Caribbean or Caribbean Beach Resort.
And then when I start thinking about it too much, I forget which one that I usually say, and I like just kind of am flustered.
Caribbean. Yeah, Caribbean is correct. Ooh, think of Alexander Hamilton saying it, and then that's correct.
Caribbean.
I'm like,
don't make me rap. Don't make me rap. That's cruel. I'm not good at it. But anyway, the Caribbean cruises depart from Port Canaveral, which is right outside of Orlando. That is a very popular one for reasons you can imagine, with Walt Disney World being a really short drive from there. Fort Lauderdale, which is like basically Miami, really close to Miami. Galveston, Texas, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. Those are just the ones that they currently have listed on their website, which means those are the ones that in the next year or so they're planning to dock at. I think they've also done Miami before, but most of those Caribbean cruises go to Castaway Cay. They're a private island, which looks incredible. I have never been, and unfortunately, I guess, after our upcoming cruise, I still will not have been to Castaway Cay. That's like their bread and butter of their island destinations in the Caribbean. But they just added, I think they just had their maiden voyage, in the past couple weeks. Right now it's June 17th, 2024. And within the last few weeks, they had the first cruises go to their new private beach location. It's not a private island, but it's a private beach location. Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. And that is where our cruise is going, one of the couple destinations in September.
Woohoo! Very exciting.
Yes, super excited about it. I don't know a lot about that location because I am actively trying to avoid spoilers.
I am not.
It sounds silly. It sounds silly to avoid spoilers for something like this, but I've spoiled a lot of Disney experiences in my life by watching vlogs and reviews and, oh, this is great about this place. No, this is terrible about this place. So I go in knowing what to expect, knowing what to do, knowing where to look. And I don't know. I just want to see it all for the first time with my own eyes and let myself be excited about it.
Yeah, and it's not that far away or that difficult to avoid the spoilers on this one. So I think it's a good idea. I just spent a long time avoiding spoilers for the Tortured Poets department portion of Eras Tour. So I'm kind of tired of trying to avoid spoilers. Just got Instagram and TikTok back on my phone. So I'm fine with seeing them. I also feel like, and I told Molly this before, but I think at least one person from our party of 4 will need to have some kind of inside scoop on what's going on with Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. So I am happy to be the one to watch all the new vlogs and things and the tips and tricks about the new spot. But I don't know. I mean, I'll avoid telling Molly anything. So
well, if you told me oh, there's a beach there, that's not really a spoiler, but there's some
the
things.
water is blue.
the water is blue. There are some things where if you say like, oh, there's a hidden Mickey here, or you have to go to this adults only area, or even as far as like what excursions we book, if we book any, I'd rather just not know. I'd rather not know this one time.
Wow. I thought we were doing this trip totally on the cheap with no extras.
We could. I don't know. Up to you. I think that is the general plan. Yes. We'd originally talked about not upgrading anything. Well, let's keep talking about Disney Cruise Line and what they offer so that when we say extras, people know what we're talking about.
Yes. I mean, I think that's like kind of common knowledge that on cruises in general, there's the basic experience, which you can do and have a great time, or there are excursions on your docked days, whatever those days, whenever you stop at a certain location, and there are things on the ship that you can book that are kind of extras. But we've never been on a Disney cruise before, and we don't want to go ham with all of these extras when, one, it's already very expensive, and two, we've never experienced it like plain vanilla, just the cruise. So we don't really know what we're missing. Like, why not just like start with the bar kind of low and affordable and let ourselves absorb the plain and simple of it all. And then next time we'll be better informed about like, okay, maybe we would want to do this or that or the other. Like, those are the things after experiencing the cruise that seemed the most interesting to us. So, I mean, we may book a few little things here and there, but for the most part, I think we'll go simple and just experience the things that come with the cruise as is.
Yeah, and to that point, Disney Cruise Line is not like the budget cruise line. It's a little pricier. It's not absurd compared to like a Walt Disney World trip and a trip on the Disney Cruise Line. You might pay less for the Disney Cruise Line overall because the food's included and a lot of entertainment things are included, and it's a bundled deal. So we'll get into it a little bit more in a minute, talking about like what is included and what's not included. But just to kick it off, Disney cruises have something for everyone. I'll start describing like the family friendly side of it, and then talk to the non-Disney fanatic things later on. So if you have someone in your family who is not super into Disney and is like, oh, I want to go on a different cruise, but you have little kids or you have Disney lovers in your life, like Sarah and I, there's something for everyone. So the family friendly, I'm calling it family friendly. The whole thing's basically family friendly, but family friendly as in like character Disney forward things. They have a bunch of character meet and greets, including princesses and Mickey, Minnie, all of that stuff. And from what I've heard, the lines to take those pictures with and meet the characters are significantly lower than most of the ones you'll see at a theme park. And they're wearing cute sailors outfits. It's a whole vibe. Another thing that's very unique to Disney Cruise Line is their pirate night. So I believe this is every cruise in the Caribbean, and I think some of the cruises international have it too, but you might need to check. But almost all Disney cruises have something called Pirate Night, which is just a really cute themed night where everything from your food to your entertainment is pirate themed. They even encourage families to come wearing pirate costumes. It doesn't have to be a full out costume. You don't have to dress up if you don't want to, but it's a whole thing. There are fireworks over the ocean. Disney is the only cruise line, at least at the time of the research that I looked at was published. Disney was the only cruise line to do fireworks over the ocean, and that's because the fireworks that they set off or whatever, they turn into fish food. So they're perfectly biodegradable, super cool. It's a very unique thing to Disney and a very unique thing to Disney cruises specifically.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
I did look it up. So I know that Pirate Night is not for all of their cruises. And what I remember from vlogs is that the alternative to Pirate Night for some of the more northern routes, like ones, maybe the Alaskan one or up like maybe in Norway or around England or something like that. I know it just depends, but there's like a Frozen night because obviously cold and snow makes more sense than Pirates of the Caribbean when you're in, the Caribbean. So I think those are kind of the two main like themed nights. And it says usually it's held on, Pirate Night is usually held on the second evening on board. So good for us to know. I also know that we happen to be going on a Halloween themed one. So I think we'll have to do some research on what exactly that means and if people dress up and stuff like that. But they're Christmas themed ones. And yeah, I don't know. There's just like different sailings, different times of the year kind of have an overlay, so to speak, and decorations and themed things.
I'm not going to lie. When we booked our cruise, it did not say it was the Halloween cruise. And then later on, they added that. I think that they like decided the dates afterwards. And I was a little bummed out because generally speaking, Halloween's not fully my vibe. I can live into it for a little while. But like our last Disneyland trip was also Halloween time. It's just like the cheapest time to go most of the time. But I was kind of looking forward to just the standard version. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, it'll be magical.
I don't know how much they lean into it. I mean, I know there'll be decorations and I don't mind that part. But yeah, I don't want like everything to be overly spooky.
Disneyland goes hard for Halloween.
Yeah.
Like every song playing over the entire park is like the night before Halloween.
Downtown Disney. Yeah.
It's all Halloween everywhere.
That was a bummer. That's so, oh man, it
was super fun, but if you're only gonna go like once every 5 years or whatever to a park, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. I just like the standard. That's what I want, unless I'm going like the week of Halloween or the week of Christmas or something.
Yeah.
But beggars can't be choosers. I'm very happy with this cruise. It was very inexpensive compared to most of them.
Yeah, we got a good deal for sure.
Okay, back to the list of what they have on the ship for freeze. On the ship, I think every night or at least a couple nights on the ship, they have live shows. And kind of along with Sarah's talk about the West End, these shows are not Broadway per se, because they're obviously not on Broadway. They're on the ocean. But they're really high caliber musicals. And if you like a good Disney musical, from what I've heard, like these are incredible, like really, really talented performers, and like not at all what you'd expect from like cruise ship entertainment. Not to cast any doubt on any other cruise line, but Disney has entertainment on lock. Like I don't know if any other cruise line could compete with them, or any other company in the world in general could compete with Disney on this type of show. So very excited for that. Some examples include Aladdin, Tangled, Frozen, something called the Golden Mickeys that I've heard a lot about, which I think is like their take on like an award show, and it kind of has a lot of different characters in it. So if you're interested in any of those shows, or if that like having a specific one of those shows matters to you, and if you want Tangled but you don't want Frozen or something, just look at the cruise ship that you're thinking about going on and see what shows they offer, because typically the show sticks with the ship. It doesn't stick with the itinerary, if that makes sense. So like just because you book in the Caribbean doesn't mean you're always going to get Frozen, because the show stays with the ship. The performers stay on that ship for an extended period of time. So if you're interested in a specific show, find the ship and then find which cruise you want to go on.
Yeah, that is a really interesting concept of the whole cruise situation, is the difference between like the ship and then the like routes they're going, or like the certain sailings, because like the Magic for so long was over in Europe, and now it's like the Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, like go to ship. But then next year more ships are going to start going to Lookout Key, and so it's like you can't just like be like, oh, it's the Magic, I need to look for the Magic. And to your point, like the whole thing with the shows, but also restaurants and things like that. Like there are certain things that like, if you care about the ship and the show and the restaurants, then you have to look for what ship you're going on. But if you care about the locations you're going to or where you sail from, it's like you need like the stars to align to get like the ship you want and the sailings you want, or to be flexible on one or the other.
For sure. So I was looking recently on a cruise for next year potentially, which we haven't even booked this one. So it's kind of silly to book another one. We don't even technically know if we like the cruise. I think we definitely will. But I was looking at itineraries that were convenient for us, prices that were decent, and basically Caribbean cruises. Those are just a lot more short and sweet, not super long. Like they're just kind of the ideal cruise type in my head. But the hard thing is most of those itineraries that fit the price range and the location I want are still Disney Magic. The Disney Magic's going to be there for a little while. And it's the cheapest ship option usually because it is the oldest. It's the first ship in the fleet. So anyway, there's a lot of factors to consider. I don't think you can pick a bad experience from what I've heard, but we'll know more after we sail.
Fantastic.
Also, I think now the Disney Wonder is the one that's doing most of the stuff across the world. So like cruises to Hawaii, cruises to Alaska. I think the ones in Australia are all the Disney Wonder. That's the one that's putting in the miles right now.
Yeah, I think there's one other one. I think maybe the Fantasy is also abroad somewhere. But yeah, it's kind of, there's the Wonder. Yeah, they're switching it up, and I have to wonder if it, what's that? No, pun not intended. But I have to wonder if it's like maybe easier on ships to be in warm weather versus cold weather, and so they're like trying to let them take their turns or something like that. But
I think part of it's probably like mileage does impact a boat, I would guess, or a ship. But the other thing is, as they add new larger ships to the fleet, they're trying to fit like the demographic and how many people are interested in a given cruise to the size of the ship. So if they're doing something that less people are interested in, but they still want to do a cruise for, the Magic might be a good option. Or in this case, they're doing their first trips to Lighthouse Point, their new destination, on the Disney Magic. And I think that's very intentional because those are the lowest occupancy ships. So it's giving them a chance to kind of soft launch all the things on the new beach location without being overwhelmed by the newer, larger ships.
Yeah, makes sense to me. I did just see the Fantasy is in fact going to be in Southampton, which is England, in August of next year. So yeah, I was just fact checking myself. The other thing I Googled is, and I'm kind of bummed about it, but I'm just going to pretend like I love Halloween music, but it sounds like the ambient music on the cruise is mostly going to be Halloween, which is the biggest bummer to me, because that's something I was really excited about, was just having like instrumental or the actual like Disney music in the background all the time, because people always mention it in vlogs, and that's maybe not gonna be, hopefully it's not always the case, because it'll still be September, so like maybe they like lean into it more and more as you get closer to I don't know.
I think they're kind of all or nothing at Disney. They usually go pretty hard once they set the theme. Oh no, we're gonna have to go on another cruise to experience it. It's okay. We'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Maybe I'll make myself kind of get more familiar with the music, so at least I'll be like singing along some more. And the other thing is, the lower we set the bar on this first cruise, the better the other ones in the future will feel in comparison. So
that's true. We're sailing on the oldest ship, the cheapest ship, one of the cheapest room options. We have a window.
Yeah, not an interior
cabin.
Room, but no veranda.
Yeah. So I think we are setting the bar relatively low, and the only way to go is up after that. So I still think it applies. I still think we're succeeding.
Yeah. The lower the bar, the better. Right.
The higher you fly.
In the future. I want to go on the Wish so bad. So that may have to be our next one. Just putting up, feelers out there now. I know that's a big jump from the oldest to the newest, but I don't know if I have the patience to wait and go through all the others before we get to the Wish.
Yeah, that could be like 10 years, and by then the Wish is not even going to be like the new one anymore.
Yeah.
When we set sail in September, the Wish will already be only a couple months away from not being the newest. So in all due time, everything gets old, and we will all die one day.
What, both morbid and wise.
So enjoy your life while you're here. Anyway, on to the next thing that is family friendly.
We should have put a trigger warning out there. Death mentioned in this episode.
Yeah. Anyway, it's time the children learn.
Anyway, what's next on your list?
So next on the list of family friendly, kid friendly things, they have youth clubs for basically all ages. There are different clubs for ages 3 through like teenagers, depending on their age. There's like an Oceaneer club. There's a club called Edge or something. Basically, they're not daycare. Maybe daycare for the younger kids, but for the older ones, it's really just a hangout spot. It's a place where I think they can get like smoothies and play games and meet other kids on the ship. And it's just really catered to all the different age groups from like 3 all the way through high school. So I've heard great things about all those kids clubs from the children of vloggers and stuff that I've seen. So that's awesome. And then for babies under the age of 3, they have a nursery. That's run a little differently. I do believe it's an extra charge and it's very limited capacity. And you also have to book like time slots, almost like you would book a babysitter. But if you're looking for a date night or something and you have a child or multiple children under the age of 3, look into that as early as you can. And you can book it for like, I think the minimum is 1 hour up to like multiple hours. So you can kind of just treat that as a trusted babysitter on the ship. And it's called A Small World Nursery, which is pretty cute.
Precious.
Okay. They also have pools and water slides, rotational dining for dinner. And that price is included with the price of the cruise. Rotational dining just means that every night of the ship, you'll be automatically assigned with your party to one of their multiple restaurants. You don't have to make a reservation. You don't have to do anything. You're just going to automatically be assigned to it, either the early dinner session or the late dinner session. You can request to switch. If you prefer the early, you can switch to that. If you prefer the later, you can switch to that, whatever. You're just going to be automatically assigned to one. So if you don't have a preference, you don't even have to touch it. And they will tell you which restaurant to go to every night. You'll show up. There will be a table for you and your party. And I think the waiters travel with you as well. So you'll get to know the same waiter every night.
Yes, I can confirm because I've heard that many times. And I think that I mean, I don't want to spoil ourselves on this, but I already know it. I feel like you've already heard it. People end up raving about your servers that you get assigned like for the whole duration of the sailing because you get to know them pretty well, and they're obviously Disney cast members, so they're usually pretty awesome, and they end up being kind of the thing that sticks with people a lot after this trip, the sailing. I don't know all the cruise lingo, so we'll have to figure that out. But I've heard wonderful things about that whole concept. I tend to be someone who I don't know. I don't befriend all of my waiters or whatever, like some people, like my dad, where he's trying to make friends everywhere he goes. But I think in this situation, it's kind of guaranteed to happen. So should be cool.
Yeah, as long as you're not a terrible person and you're relatively friendly. If you said please don't talk to me, they won't talk to you. I'm sure they'll honor that. But
I mean, I feel like
if you're just a nice regular person,
right? I think it's one of those situations. It's just natural. And the other thing is, I've heard many times it's nice to kind of befriend them and to whatever, because they give you their recommendations on, and they've had several obviously people come through and they know what people like the best on food, and their hacks and things where maybe you can order from a different menu on a night where the menu is not as popular or doesn't have things that sound good to you or whatever. So there are definitely perks of kind of getting friendly with your servers, and obviously it's good just to be nice to people. So
yeah. Also, if you have a dietary restriction or something, or you have a serious allergy, it's good to have the same server every night. You might still need to remind them. I don't know. That's probably up to you and the severity of your allergy or your reservation against a food. But if you have like a gluten intolerance or something, it's probably a little easier to not have to tell a fresh person every night, and you might just be able to remind someone. Or if they get to know you, they might put a dish in front of you and say, I doubled and triple checked, there are no peanuts in this, or whatever. They can just get to know you on that food level too.
How intimate.
How intimate. Yeah. But that's just for dinner. There are also a bunch of options for quick casual dining for lunch and breakfast, including like walk up, quick service type foods, free room service. That is a huge Disney perk that people rave about. You're strongly encouraged to tip if you do use the room service. All the gratuities and tips, you can wait till the end. You don't have to think about those or worry about those as you go. But what other time in your life can you do free room service? Anytime. Like, there's breakfast. There's also, I've seen videos of people eating like chicken wings and cheese platters in the middle of the night. So super cool.
Wow. I did just hear on a podcast that one lady recommended she got in the habit, because she is an avid coffee drinker. So this is really for dad and maybe you if you want to, but she would order room service, a carafe of coffee every evening before she went to bed. And then it would still be hot in the morning when she woke up, and she wouldn't have to wait. Like, it was just there for her, like for the people who really need coffee to get going in the morning and don't want to wait for it. Because I'm assuming in the morning it's probably very busy and probably long waits to get your room service if you're trying to order coffee like at 8 in the morning.
I've seen that if you want breakfast room service, you have to leave basically your order hanging on your door by like 3 a.m. So it should come at a decent time. But if you want it ready when you're ready and you don't want someone knocking and waking you up early or whatever, if you just want the coffee to be in your room the moment you wake up, that's a good hack.
Yeah, I thought it was smart. And I'm sure the coffee isn't quite as piping hot as some people might want it to be. But if you're fine with it being warm, not hot, sounded like a good plan.
Yeah. Also, they have free frozen yogurt. I think around the pool location usually, and then also like at their beach destinations, they have free frozen yogurt every day and free soda and like non-alcoholic beverages. So if you get some sort of fancy schmancy mocktail, you might still have to pay for that, or like a smoothie. But for the most part, your Cokes, your Sprites, your whatever Coca-Cola product you could want is free and unlimited.
Very nice. Yeah, I'm excited about all of that stuff. I mean, I know it's not quite conducive to good decisions around food and beverage choices, but it is all inclusive. So tempting, very tempting.
Yeah. A lot of people are really intimidated by Disney World or Disneyland trips because you can rack up quite the bill by just tasting everything and wanting every snack and wanting to, have that ice cream, have that whatever. And Disney Cruise Line does not nickel and dime you in the same way. There are extra charge options that you can go do. There's like an ice cream shop where you can, make a big elaborate sundae or whatever. There's smoothies, and then like alcoholic beverages are not included. So all those things I just listed are an upcharge, but you could, I believe, very easily go through a Disney cruise and not spend an extra penny if you don't want to.
Yeah. Yep. I plan on trying to do that for the most part, except for fancy coffees whenever they sound good. I definitely want to go to, what's it called? The fancy coffee place. It's in the adults only area.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but that's not the focus of this episode, so I don't have to remember. But we'll have that information for you whenever we do our pre-trip episode for our upcoming trip.
Yes, I'm also really wanting to try the room service. So I know that you should tip if you do the room service, and I'm totally okay with that. But for the most part, if you're just paying like a little tip for room service delivery, that is nothing compared to what you would usually pay at like a hotel or something.
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually know. I've never done it.
Well, we should make it worth their time and worth our tip by just ordering a lot of different things.
You can get Mickey premium bars, Mickey ice cream bars delivered to your room, and I plan on it.
What about Mickey pretzels?
So excited.
Well, I don't think they're gonna have Mickey pretzels.
I don't think so, but maybe. You never know.
I'll have to get one at Disney World before we get to our cruise.
Okay, on to the non-family centered activities. So these are still potentially things that like families could enjoy, but they're just really not focused toward kids, and some of these areas do not allow kids. So the first thing that came to my mind when I thought of this was the spa. The spa, you have to be 18 or older to use any of its services. That includes massages, pedicures, manicures, facials. Just, it's a very normal spa. I think that in at least maybe the teen area of one of the kids clubs, I don't know if it's on every ship, but they had like a mini spa for teenagers too. But teenagers are not allowed in the full on spa, like the Senses spa, I think is what it's called.
That makes sense because they want to make sure it stays like nice and calm and people are well behaved. So I get that, but I was just thinking when you said you have to be 18 or older, I was like, that stinks for like a teenager who just wants like a massage experience, especially, you know, like an athlete or someone who, you know, has tension or whatever. I don't know. I was just thinking, I mean, I don't love people touching me, but a 16-year-old could very much appreciate a facial or a massage.
I think it might just be on the Wish, or I don't know if it's on every ship, but I did see one where at least in one of the kids areas, they had the option for like manicures, pedicures, and massages. I don't think they would do like, I think the menu is probably pretty catered toward a younger crowd. Like, I don't know if a teenager should be interested in like de-aging, wrinkle removal facial, but you never know.
Like
maybe.
the ice sculpting, or not the what's the stuff that like supposed to destroy your like belly fat or something. I saw that on one of them.
Oh geez. I hope that kids aren't concerned about that.
No, let's hope not.
But anyway, the spa in general, and they also have something called the Rainforest Room for adults only, and that is like I think $50 for one day, or there's sometimes a flat rate you can pay to have access every day of your cruise, and that's basically a room with a lot of like sauna type amenities and like showers, and it's basically all of the nice features of a spa, just no massages, nothing where anyone touches you. Like there's no one-on-one manicure, pedicure, massage, facial, none of that, but showers, there's like heated tables you can lie on, and the different showers have like different sensory experiences. It looks nice. I don't think I'm doing a good job explaining it, but it looks fun.
Yeah, that's more my speed. I'm like, I want to have like a cool vibe experience that's relaxing and smells nice and has calm music and feels good, but like no one actually talking to me or touching me. I just get to do my own thing. So, I mean, the way you described it sounded great to me, but I also know what you're talking about. So
I love a good massage, but I have a sneaking feeling that Disney massages cost a lot. So maybe more than I'm willing to pay.
Yeah, especially well, this is niche, but if you're like me and you have like a neck massager thing that is like a scarf type, I don't know how to describe it, but it gives me a massage.
Sarah wants to be massaged with no one touching her. That's her ideal.
Yeah,
like she wants a robot to massage her.
I like the feeling of it, but it's just uncomfortable to me to have like a person touching me. But maybe I would get past it eventually. I don't know.
On to the next thing in the not so family friendly group. They have a bunch of cocktail options, including like bars. I could talk about specific bars, but it really varies ship to ship. But just know that if you get on a Disney cruise, there are going to be both like fun experience bars, kind of like there's a Star Wars themed bar on one ship. I believe the new Disney Treasure coming out is going to have like a Jungle Cruise or something themed bar, something like that. But sometimes they have more upscale bars, like think Enchanted Rose, Beauty and the Beast, classy cocktails. The bartender is wearing white long sleeve shirt with a black vest type of vibe. They have quite a bit of that kind of experience if you're interested in that. And
sorry, I got distracted.
You unmuted and went,
oh, I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm looking up stuff while you're talking. And I just saw you can bring alcohol on board with you. So I was just thinking you and Dad might want to bring a bottle of wine or something.
You can. I saw that you can bring up to 2 bottles of wine per passenger that's over the legal drinking age of 21. Or you can bring like a 6-pack of beer per passenger. I think you need to look into it because like the size matters. They don't want you bringing like a gigantic thing. Just like a standard bottle of wine or a standard 6-pack of beer. Don't go too crazy. But I definitely plan on doing that, maybe, and splitting a bottle of wine with our dad. Our mom doesn't drink and neither does Sarah, but Dad and I can split a nice red wine.
Yeah. I was also looking up an AI on Google is trying to help me answer the question and failing, but I was trying to see like what you could do. Like if I wanted to go to a bar on a Disney cruise to experience the atmosphere, but if I didn't want to order a drink, like what can I get there that's included? And is that okay to just go there and be like, can I have a Sprite, and is there like a complimentary like little snack, that just like, do you have just like peanuts or whatever? I mean, probably not because allergies, but something like that where it's like, can I do something free and complimentary, but also experience this bar still?
I bet they would give you like a soda for free because most bars do that anyway. Like if you go to most bars, if you say, hey, I'm the designated driver, I'm not drinking, can I have a Sprite? Usually it's not even worth their time to charge you. Like, and a lot of times their policy is to not charge people who aren't drinking alcohol because they want to encourage that. That's responsible behavior. On a ship, it might be a little different because obviously no one's driving, but also soda is included on the cruise. I would guess they definitely have soda for one thing because you can get like soda mixed with an alcohol at any bar.
Yeah.
So it'd probably be free.
I don't
know about snacks.
I'm just trying to figure out what's like acceptable. You know what I mean?
I think as long as you're with like me and Dad and like Mom and 2 of us get a drink, you're probably fine.
I know. I'm just like, but do I have to buy like a mocktail in order to earn my way in here? Or what if I don't want that?
I doubt it.
Anyway, it's just
Disney wants everyone to experience things. They're not going to force you to drink alcohol or to feel like you should have to.
No, not really that. It's more of like the paying. Like, do I need to pay for something to be in this space?
And ladies and gentlemen, this is how I know Sarah is treating this as a challenge mentally, because it's not that she doesn't have the money to pay for like a $6 drink, a little mocktail. It's that she's like, oh no, it would break my streak of spending no money.
Well, I already know I'm going to be okay with spending money. Part of me is just like, is this an inclusive environment for people who are trying to go all-inclusive on this all-inclusive or semi-all-inclusive, whatever it's called, cruise ship? Like, am I welcome in all spaces?
Yeah, it might be considered a little rude if a group all went to a bar, a nice bar, took a seat at the bar and said, what's free? The bartender might not be super happy, but if it's like a mixed crowd where some people are ordering and purchasing things and some people aren't.
It makes sense. But like my scenario is mostly going to be like if I go on a solo cruise sailing and I don't want to order. I mean, the reality is if I'm solo and I'm going to a bar and I'm trying to like just experience it, I'll probably pay for a mocktail just to feel like I earned being in that space by paying for something. Or if there's like a special dessert or snack or something, I don't know. But anyway,
usually I would say in most environments definitely pay to get something. If you go to a coffee shop, get a coffee if you're going to sit there for hours. But this is a little different because it's an all-inclusive.
Right. It's new to us. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like how all-inclusive are all of these areas of the cruise, especially the areas that are made for something that is an upcharge, which is alcohol. Like anything that's a bar or whatever is going to be more geared toward like this is Disney's way of making more money, and so am I allowed to be there and not help them make money? But anyway, this is a long tangent, but It's just interesting.
Okay, on to the next thing that you can do. And I'm kind of running out of things. We haven't experienced this for ourselves. So this is just the stuff I've seen online, on YouTube videos, whatever. The other non-family centered activity is go to the adults only area. They have pools. They have, I think, hot tubs. I think there's a bar, a coffee shop. Depending on the ship, it kind of varies what exactly is available, but there are non-family centered things. There are adults only areas, and especially if you're not bringing kids and you want to go out and just soak in the sun or enjoy a hot tub and look out on the ocean without kids screaming and like splashing on you, go to the adults only area. I have a feeling we're going to spend a decent amount of time at the adults only area. The other thing is, like, if you don't have kids with you, why would you choose to go to the kid pool? I mean, I guess they have like movies that are playing and stuff over it, and there's like activities and things going on, but if they're not my kids, I don't necessarily want to hear them scream.
Yeah. I think that the adults only area is also what makes me feel like Disney Cruise Line, and in extension like all Disney vacation-y things. So Disney World has scenarios like this too, but they're very clearly trying to say come one, come all, whether you're a big family and this is like, you know, your classic like family reunion trip with kids of all ages and grandma and grandpa and whatever, but they're also trying to get those Disney adult couples or, you know, Disney adult friends or even older couples or whatever who don't have kids at all. And they're saying, this is for you too. Like, we're making a space that's just for you with you in mind, so that, and that's like the common misconception of a Disney cruise or Disney anything is that it's for families, it's for kids only. And it's just not.
Well, on the other hand, it's not just for Disney adults or people without kids or whatever. It's also for the parents who are burnt out and tired, and maybe they don't want their whole vacation to just revolve around doing everything their kids want to do. Drop your kids off at the kids club. Go enjoy adult company at, that sounds bad. Go hang out with your husband or wife or whatever at the adults only section. And the cruise is not just for your kids. It's not, you didn't pick a Disney cruise, so now, oh darn, there's nothing for adults there. It's for everyone. Like, there's something for everyone on this cruise, and I'm so excited to experience it all. Like, literally so thrilled.
It's going to be awesome. I'm very excited. I mean, I think as a kid I would have been a little intimidated by the kids clubs because you would go in there and not know anyone most likely, and so you'd have to, you know, make friends, whatever. But from what I hear, the kids for the most part are dying to go back to the kids club after they've seen it once, and then after they've done it again, and then they're like, oh, but we're gonna make slime with Stitch, or I want to go design a roller coaster or whatever, because they just have so many cool things going on that, like, it's very likely if you have kids, your kids are going to love that. And it's not like a babysitter situation, it's like part of their full experience it's like enhanced by that. So you don't even have to feel guilty by basically getting a date night.
And also, kids love to feel independent. Like, it's a big reason why a lot of kids love school. Some kids don't love school because the school part of it, but you get to leave your parents, you get to do your own thing, you get to learn on your own, you get to experience life on your own. And there are a lot of fun activities that, like, I've seen vlogs of people going into the kids club, like usually the very first boarding the ship day. The kids club is open to everyone, including adults, to just go in and see, because there are no kids in it yet. And there's like an Imagineering center where you can, like Sarah said, like design a roller coaster or something. And there's a Marvel section where you can see like sometimes actual costumes worn in the Marvel films. Like, it's cool stuff. There's tree houses. There's there's like a little area that looks like you're in Toy Story. Like, it's very well themed, super fun. And I think it is probably so cool that the kids are just enjoying the space, and the making friends happens somewhat naturally for most of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and the cast members, I'm sure, are incredible at making it a fun experience. Kind of like you're at camp and they're like your camp counselor or something. They might even call them like counselors. I don't know. But I mean, it sounds great. I definitely wish that I could have tried something like that, because obviously now we will never have a chance to be fully embedded in that world, but it's okay. Maybe we'll convince our brother and sister-in-law to go on a Disney cruise with us in the future, and then we'll get to hear all about it from our niece and nephew and see what their take on the kids club is. And they'll probably be on different ones because they're so different ages.
Yeah. Ben and Anna are probably, our niece and nephew are our best chances of living vicariously through the kids club short term. I hope to have kids one day, and that would be maybe a little closer to the action, but still, like, I'm never going to be a kid in the kids club, and that's okay. I'm 27 now. I can accept that.
It's actually depressing to think about.
Also, the Disney Cruise Line was founded in 1995. I was born in 1997. Mom and Dad, why did you not take us on a Disney cruise? I know I saw commercials. I know I asked you, but we never went.
I don't remember asking them, but I would have loved it. We did go on a Carnival cruise, and that did not get me excited for cruising. But I don't think I knew that Disney had cruise ships. Or
I definitely did. I remember the commercials, and I remember there was an Imagineering story, like an Imagineering documentary kind of on, I think it was refurbishing, like a full-on overhaul refurbishing. Maybe it was the Disney Magic that they refurbished, and it was so cool.
Ooh, I want to find that on YouTube or something.
That's what made me want to be an engineer, and I wrote a lot of papers in college about wanting to be an Imagineer, and then I got a final round interview for being an Imagineer, and I turned the interview down because of personal stuff and not wanting to move to Florida and reality hitting me. But man, in the end, I've learned you don't have to be passionate about all of the things you do to earn money, but be passionate about your life. So you don't have to turn every hobby into something that makes money. Sometimes you can just enjoy things for free.
And make a podcast about them.
Yeah, which also returns no money.
Yeah, at least now. Maybe someday. But it's yes, for now this is a hobby, and that's fine. So wise today, Molly, just spitting facts. Do you have any more facts for us?
Remember, death will come for us all, so enjoy your life while you're living it.
She's really getting into the morbid spirit for our Halloween sailing
trip. Yeah.
And you're wearing orange. How fitting. Oh, it's Oklahoma State, which they always tell us looks like Halloween anyway. So amazing. Okay. Is it my turn to tell our massive audience about things about Disney cruise bookings and stuff?
Yes. So we're already over an hour. So maybe we keep this relatively short, or we can cut out some of your ramblings from before about mocktails and whether you're going to have to pay for them.
I'm just dying to know. I'm going to ask our server there. It's going to be annoying, but it's fine. I want the details. Okay. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot for this section. I mean, Molly asked me basically to cover what it was like booking and what it's like, looking at the app and stuff prior to our trip. And I will say booking it was very straightforward. It's a separate website from Disney World and Disneyland, obviously. So I usually just Google search Disney Cruise, and it's really easy from there. I mean, like I kind of mentioned before, it's weird to think about. So there's like a package of sailings that have multiple dates that are all the same itinerary. So it'll say like 4-night Bahamian cruise or 3-night East Caribbean or whatever, 10-night blah blah blah, and you'll know it'll say like what that name of the sailing, and it'll say what the stops are, and then you click on this down button and you see all of the dates, and each date has a ship on it. So there can be a sailing or an itinerary that has, you know, the magic for the first 5 sailings and then the fantasy for the last 5 or something. Or there can be 20 sailings or 2 sailings. So it really just depends on how frequent or unique or infrequent that particular itinerary is. And you can filter it different ways. You can filter by dates, by cruise ship, like we talked about before. If you care about a particular ship for any reason, whether it's a restaurant or you've never been on that one, you're trying to knock out all of them, or a show, whatever, you can filter to that. You can filter what I think makes the most sense, especially for earlier first-time cruisers or less frequent cruisers, is you can filter by the departure destination. So whenever I was looking, I looked at ones that depart from Florida, or I put Galveston, but I also knew that was probably not what we were going to want. And yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. Anyway, when you book, you have to pay a deposit, which is generally a pretty small portion of your overall fee. And then you don't have to pay the full cost until like 90 days, I want to say, before the actual sailing. About
90 days would make sense, because I think we're at like 88 days now, and we paid last week a couple days before it was due.
Yeah, which you can pay you can pay in increments or whatever. And then, like Molly mentioned at the beginning, our next kind of thing that we'll do is potentially start booking things. So there's some things you can book for free, like maybe the princess meet and greet. I'm not sure what that's called, but it has some kind of special name. And maybe a few other things that you book in advance, but you don't have to necessarily pay for. The other thing that Molly did this for our room, and our parents' room is adjoining to us, and we didn't do it for them, but I didn't know it was that early. But you do have the opportunity to go ahead and request early or late dining. So if you have a preference on that, you have to do that pretty early. So just pay attention to that. But then otherwise,
if I had known that one dining session was more preferable than the other, I would have had my parents book the earlier dining when I did. I just thought for our family personally, early dining would be a little nicer. It's like at 5:45 or something, and late dining is at like 8 or something like that. So anyway, I should have, could have had my parents change their dining slot as well. But I just didn't think that, I don't know. I didn't think it would be a big deal. I thought they could do it later.
Well, I think that it's also could be a blessing in disguise situation. They are on the wait list now, but I have heard that even though you might be like hungry for dining early, or if you like to eat early, whatever, it's generally a more adult friendly, less kid heavy crowd to have late dining. And that means your show has less kids, so it's usually less, crying or whatever. And then your dinner is usually less full. There's definitely there's more space.
Well, we could switch back to the late dining if you think that would be more of a better vibe. I don't really care.
Yeah, I'll leave it for now. That's what the cast member recommended to me, just so that we basically don't give up our spot because we have it and we're on the wait list in case we want to keep it. Basically, she said it's easy to get late dining if you want to switch to that later on, but it's not easy to get early dining. So if you happen to get it,
that's fair. The more I think about it, the more I think there's so many snacks I'm probably going to want to eat throughout the day, and
more belly
give
space.
me more time to eat.
True.
And then be hungry again for a later dinner. So it's up to us. I don't think mom and dad will care too much. The other thing is that since we're going to be cruising on the East Coast, kind of in that time zone, for me, like 8 o'clock is going to feel like 6 o'clock.
Ooh,
so
good point.
So
I didn't think about
honestly, the 5 o'clock dining time, or 5:30, whatever it is going to feel like the middle of the afternoon.
Okay, so maybe we're a late dining vibe. That makes sense. I'd be fine with that. But then really the last thing is the check-in portion. So for us, that's August 16th, which is about a month before, I think maybe exactly a month before our cruise departure day. So check-in includes more of the like nitty-gritty details of like maybe your passport and just other personal types of documents and information, and you figure out your port arrival time and that kind of thing. So that's the one where you're really, it becomes real, but it's less of the fun bookings and more of the like real life stuff. The last thing really is just an FYI that there is an app called, it's referred to as the Navigator app most frequently. It's just a Disney Cruise Line app. And really on it, you can it's the same app for your pre-trip planning or once you're on the trip, I keep calling it a trip, but on your like
ship,
sailing on your ship, it becomes like your whole world basically. It like tells you everything that's going on that day. If you're familiar with Disney World, it's basically like
my Disney experience.
Yeah.
It might just be, I think it just might be the Walt Disney World app now.
Yeah.
I think it's called Disney World.
But everyone calls it My Disney Experience. So it's basically like that, but for your cruise. So it's really essential to have it, and it's kind of how you stay connected with everything that's going on. But for us, for now at least, it's basically just a countdown and an opportunity to look through now like details about the ship and the different kind of restaurants and stuff like that. So it's just
one other activity. You're talking about looking through the app for all about the ship. One other activity for adults that I forgot is they have a plethora of alcohol themed activities like wine tastings, beer tastings, cocktail making classes. I think there's like a liqueur and chocolate pairing tasting class. I think those are all an additional charge, almost positive. But sorry, you just reminded me because that was one of the things that I saw when I was scrolling on the app for all the activity options.
And you were considering maybe you could do that with Dad, and Mom and I
already talked to him about it. Yeah. You can go shopping. You could go do whatever you want.
Yeah, we could go do the stuff that you guys don't want to spend all your time doing. We will go get ourselves a cute little coffee latte situation, decaf if it's in the evening, and go. Yeah, we'll have a ball, and you guys will go get lit.
I don't think it's like that. I think it's kind of classy, but
well, we'll see.
Whatever.
You never know.
But anyway, all this podcast was covering basically is how excited we are. I feel like I've been preparing for this podcast for years just because I love YouTube videos and informative videos and vlogs about the Disney Cruise Line. And now that it's close enough that I can practically taste it, I am just brimming over with joy and excitement about it. So I decided to spill that onto you, our beloved 3 listeners.
You're brimming over with joy, which makes me think of Inside Out, which makes me think of Inside Out 2, which didn't you just watch?
So cute. Loved it.
I want to watch it. I should have done it this weekend, but I could not be bothered to do anything after like 6 p.m. in the evening because I'm still slightly jet lagged to the point where the evening I just am totally in wind down mode. I don't want to do anything.
Well, I would strongly recommend watching it.
Anything else you want to talk about related to Disney Cruise Line before we call it for the episode?
No, I just really excited. That's all.
And she's 5 years old. I'm very excited too. I think it's going to be awesome. I also, every once in a while, I get so wrapped up in the Disney Cruise Line aspect of it all that I forget that we're also going to Disney World and we're staying at Wilderness Lodge for 2 nights, and we've never done that before either. And that makes me even more
crowd
excited.
Grows wild.
Anyway, okay, well, that was a very fun episode. I love learning about the things of Disney that I have not done yet. The most exciting because it's fun talking about the things we have done, but this one is particularly excited because we're about to become, Disney cruisers. We're about to be experienced Disney cruisers in less than...
Pretty soon they're going to ask me to be the captain, actually.
No, you have to be a mouse, unfortunately. You have to be a mouse in order to be a captain of a Disney cruise. That's just the rules. But you can be a female because Minnie Mouse is the captain of the Wish, if you hadn't heard. She is...
Women shouldn't be allowed to drive, so I don't understand that.
You're gonna make me throw up. Anyway,
Ew, that was a little
that's what you get for
aggressive.
being so misogynistic. Anyway, I think that's gonna do it for us on this wonderful episode, and we'll see you next time, Castle Dwellers.
Bye.